All right, so I guess we're starting. I'll go first. So Cloudy, thank you for being here. My question to you is, are you used to this level of fame yet?
Well, I mean, I'm getting used to people stopping me and saying, "Oh, I love you from like that TikTok or the Sora run or this and that." It's still, it's surreal to me. Like, it's still a very surreal experience because I recall not that long ago just running around making cosplay music videos, which was great. I loved it. But to have it shift to where it's me, like they're looking for me specifically, versus wanting to be in a video, it's a lot to take in. But I love it, Even MomoCon last year when I wasn't a guest, I got stopped by a ton of people, like a ton. Oh my God, like to where it was like a circle of people at one point. And that was odd. That was really odd, but I loved it. So short answer is yes, I'm slowly getting used to it.
Cloudie, Carnell from Carnell Hollywood Pictures. So from last year to this year of MomoCon being unofficial to official status, what has changed?
The DMs have increased for sure, which is cool. Like, I love that because I actually need that. I didn't realize, like, because from my point of view, when I make content, like, I'm usually just, I'm gonna make something funny or heartfelt or whatever, just because I'm in that zone. I just want to get it out there, share my heart. But I've had an increase of people who tell me like, "Oh, Cloudy, look, this video you did like helped me out of a depressive state," or "This video you did helped a friend of mine." Like, things like that have started to like increase in number, and I'm like, wow, like, because you don't think about that kind of impact you're gonna have. You're just, from your point of view, it's like I'm being silly. That's it. That's the extent of it. So when you get messages like that, like even someone earlier stopped me when I first got in. Like, I just want to tell you, my friend just, you really helped her out, and I'm just like, wow, that's just like. So that kind of stuff has changed. I'm starting to get paid for like brand deals here and there, so that's cool. Just like companies seeing my videos pop around, like, "Hey, I want you to promote this thing I'm doing," or whatever. So that's really nice. I'm enjoying the ride. It fluctuates, like any business, but I'm enjoying it. So those are the main changes.
So you're known for a lot of your content, but you're also known for two very particular cosplays that you do. Your Sora cosplay, which I love, and your Kuwabara cosplay. What was your inspiration behind wanting to create those cosplays for your look?
Okay, so the Sora specifically, that came during the pandemic, and that was all. I know people are probably expecting this really heartfelt, like, "Oh man, he must have been doing that his whole life." The truth of the matter is, the pandemic hit, and I remember being bored of the house, and I had a Keyblade in my storage, like just in my garage. So I was like, I'm gonna go out in the yard and just run around with it. I'm gonna whatever, and that went viral. So from there, I was okay. People like Sora, that's funny, and it's just funny to like roast on him. Then I transitioned to videos of him getting just whooped by every character known to man, and I made this template. And I don't even know why I chose this song or the template, but it was like 2 a.m. one night during the pandemic, and I was like, I just want to see him just get tossed in slow motion. So I found the song on TikTok. It was this, "I know I did," whatever. And from there, that started blowing up, so I just kept putting him in those situations, and that's how he got popular. Then I mimicked his run, his whole iconic, throw his whole body into it, and that's how that went about. Now, Kuwabara, that's different because it's weird. Like, I didn't watch Yu Yu Hakusho when it was out, like, fresh, but because, like, I grew up in the 90s or whatever, like, watching that anime, it's like you feel like you're connected to it somehow, because it came out that time you were, like, active, or not active, I don't know what the word to use, but you're a heyday, quote unquote. So when I watch Yu Yu Hakusho, there's that sense of comfort and nostalgia. So then with Kuwabara, I just learned I could imitate his voice. So once I started doing that, it's like, "You Meshi, you blah, blah, blah," "You blood, you're gonna get it." Like, once I was able to do that, I'm like, why don't I just cosplay him and just see what happens? And that blew up at MomoCon, because I did one of him dancing around, doing all this stuff, and that took off. So those are my two, like, right now, my two biggest characters, for sure.
I actually got to be in your last Sora walk, so thank you. For
Yeah, for sure.
But coming on 20 years of the franchise, I feel like everybody's got a Kingdom Hearts origin story, so I'm curious how you found your way into that, or Final Fantasy.
I vividly remember way back in like 02, 03, we had a game magazine. I was with my friends, and it was like we opened it up, and we see this kid with like big clown shoes and like a key sword. We call it a key sword. It's like, what is this? But we saw a Disney character, so we were really intrigued. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was at my buddy Robert's house, but like, from there, we're like, okay, that's cool. We got to look into this. And then the commercial hit. You know, when you walk, all that. Like when that hit, we were sold. We were like, we got to get this game. We got to play it. And that was my like all of high school, just like going through Kingdom Hearts. You know, getting to the title screen, just letting that music play out. Any Kingdom Hearts fans out there, you know, dearly beloved. But like, that was so iconic of a memory that I remember, even though I roasted them years later when I did my videos, that was just that moment. Like that moment of remembering how good that felt, just the whole energy of that game. You know, it's a very like heartwarming game. You know, pun intended, Kingdom Hearts, but it's a very heartwarming game. So yeah, that's it.
Do you remember your first cosplay ever?
Technically, yeah. My first one, and I didn't even realize it at the time, when I was like in 6th grade, right, 90 whatever. Like, I put on some old skates I had. They had worn out, so I took the little insoles out, and they were blue. I was like, I like Dragon Ball Z. So I remember getting some rubber bands, tied them around those, and I was running around the house like I'm Goku. I didn't have the full, you know, gear or whatever, but like that was my first technical cosplay. Officially, it would have been, probably, and you'd have to be a diehard Cloudie McDoom fan to know what I'm about to say. The robot character I made named Ramoji back in like 2012, somewhere in there. It was like this big, like red headphones, like it's super obscure. Like, again, nobody currently would know about it, but that was my first official cosplay. And then I started graduating to, well, this is an exception. Today is an exception, but normally I have my full-blown Cloud Stripe cosplay. That's my official one, so yeah.
All right, so since you are cosplaying while black, let me ask you this. How do you handle any negative criticisms or comments you may get while in cosplay?
You know what's interesting? There's internet world and then there's the real world, like we are now. Internet world, they'll say whatever they want because they're safe behind, you know, the screen. They're safe behind the wheel of a keyboard, as I said. I've never had anyone come and try to disrespect me to my face. I've actually seen someone, this is a funny story, I won't say their name, but I've seen someone who was talking reckless about me online. And like I saw them at a convention, I was like, hey, what's up? And they just like beeline the other way. Like they just, you know, so it's very, like once I understood they're protected by that, they can let those thoughts flow freely. I don't take it to heart, you know, like, yeah, it can be hurtful or whatever. Like I did a video, it was, I was dressed as Goku and it was like, Chi-Chi, do you love me? And he's like dancing and stuff. That went viral, but in a bad way. That went viral to where like everyone hated it and was putting it on random websites, like it was getting millions of views all over the place, but it was because it was cringe. And like that was different, but it still was exposure. Because like even last year MomoCon, a lot of like young dudes were like, oh man, you look Goku there, you look Chi-Chi guy, look at a picture or whatever. So, you know, but the comments in that were pretty brutal, but it's nothing. I can handle it. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Question, how did you come about with the Final Fantasy cosplays? Like,
okay, that's a deeper one, because I've loved Final Fantasy literally since I was like 11 or 12. So like that's one of those games, and like specifically Cloud Strife, where I really resonated with that character. So obviously when I got older and was able to cosplay, I got into, you know, being him specifically. And not to get like too deep into it, but just something happened when I was in the 7th grade that was really emotional. Like it was really just heart-wrenching. And I remember FF7 was my comfort game when I got home from school that day. You know, like that was like, that moment is encapsulated in time. So every time I do something Cloud Strife related, that like still gives me that level of strength of like, you know, you remember a moment like that. And it's like it reshapes or starts to shape who you're gonna become. Specifically in my case, not leaving people out of things, you know, because that's essentially what happened with that situation. But, you know, that's kind of how I got into Final Fantasy, and then here we are, dressing off. Yeah.
So I know for Cloud versus Sephiroth, what was the process like of getting a green screen studio? Because that was the first time I've heard of that. Because I know if I mess up something, I got to put the outfit back on. But you had to go, you said hours away and rent a spot and.
Yeah. So shout out to Atlanta. I actually did that here. I went to a green screen studio out here. It was, you know, back then when I did it, I needed the space to run around. You know, with Sephiroth and Cloud specifically, because the stuff I did in that battle, I couldn't have done it at home in my green screen. There was too much running, too much active. Because if you actually watch that video compared to my others, that's the only one that has like full range of motion where I'm actually like, you know? So that whole process was, come out here, film it, go back home, edit it. And it's funny when I put on the Sephiroth outfit, it's like, it's fun to get in the character because everyone knows I commit. Obviously, I commit. But honestly, just when I do the Sephiroth character, like that's one of people's favorites. But it's also I feel so like dirty when I'm doing it because like I'll start doing shoulder shimmies and doing these like very overly sensual looks and stares, and I mean the people love it. Like the crowd loves it, but it's just when I take that off, I gotta go take a shower. I gotta wash my soul. I gotta do it all because Sephiroth takes, but it's fun to, just unleash a little bit like that. So yeah,
All right, with content creation and cosplay, and you combine them together into a nice branded niche, my question for you is this, how do you go about approaching your content as far as like planning it and shooting it and things like that, and what is your favorite part of the content creation process?
Okay, that's a good question. So with me, because I have a very overactive imagination, I tell people, the ideas are constantly on just full blast, just constantly just running, right? So for me, I'll just get the idea, and instantly I'm like, okay, let me go to my either green screen room, go out in the backyard, wherever I gotta go, let me film this concept and just get out of my head, I do that, I go inside, edit it, boom. My favorite part is people's reaction to it, because you never know what's gonna pop, what's gonna, really do what it does. Because sometimes my least amount of effort projects is what blows up, my favorite part is everyone's reaction, or their quote the video I've done. Like I did one called Final Fantasy Panacea, and that's when everyone quotes now. It's like Panacea or Panacea, like just the word Panacea. They'll just comment that on every video I do now, so it's cool, the reaction. So.
Oh, well, you do a lot of singing. What is your musical background?
Let's see. It's weird. When I was growing up, my father was in the choir. My mom can't sing all that well. Sorry, Mom. My eldest sister sings phenomenally. My middle sister, who passed in 21, she could sing phenomenally. I was too shy to sing at the time because I would hear them, like they would harmonize and all this stuff, and I liked it. My ears were attuned to it, but like I didn't get into that, But if I think back a long time ago, I think it was always in me because I vividly remember being like a little guy, like 5 years old, excuse me, and my sister would have slumber parties, so all her homegirls would crowd into the den, and I was a little guy, so they would call me down, like, little Cloudie, say my real name, they'd be like, little Cloudie, bring him down, and I had this little bitty speaker box, a little recorder, and they'd be like, just do something, so I'd just be like on the mic, just like, making noises, like I didn't sing, I'm just making noises, but I enjoyed performing for them, so I feel like that might have been that like low-key origin that I didn't really, pay attention to. And then when I got older, I was in a rock band, I did background vocals, and then people started telling me, you sing pretty well, why don't you do the main vocals? And I was like, nah, my best friend's a singer, I'm the type, I didn't want to like take his like, light, if you will. Mm-hmm. I was like, nah, I don't want to step on any toes. And then over time, you just kind of naturally, it comes out of you. Mm-hmm. Like I'll joke sing and make videos, and people, oh my God, that's really good. So that's kind of how that happened, just forcing it out of myself, goofing around.
No, he can get. He's in the lead. He can go.
I'm in the lead. Okay. So Cloudie McDoom, that is such a cool and interesting name. Where did the name come about from?
Man, obviously I love Final Fantasy. Cloud had to be in there. The Cloudie McDoom, I don't know. It's like you'll be somewhere chilling and you'll just be like thinking of like, I need a cool name. Because this is the transitional point where I went from my Akio Boy stuff where I was doing cosplay videos to my skits. And I was like, I need a different name since that's like my video stuff. I need something for me. So I sat there, and I kid you not, originally it was like something, I forget, it was like something McBoom, something, I can't remember. But I landed on Cloudie McDoom, and I just kind of rolled with it because I liked the way it sounded. And I vividly remember going to like my best friend, shout out to Kenji. I was hanging out with him, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start calling myself Cloudie McDoom. And he looked at me, he was like, okay. Like, it was one of those, like, cool, man, for you. But that's kind of how that happened. And then the most surreal part about that is you see your name popping up everywhere. You see people saying Cloudie McDoom to you at a con, wherever, like, Cloudie McDoom. So, like, because I remember that origin. I remember writing it down on paper, like, I'm going to call myself that. So that's how that came about.
So I feel like as Black creators, we always kind of have this internal sense of community because even on the way here, we all stopped and we saw Fantastic Frankie and her crew, and we all had to show each other love real quick. What has it been like for you forming and finding members for the Squall?
That's been really cool because that kind of starts with, you know, obviously they'll like you watch me on Twitch or whatever, and then they'll kind of transition to Discord and whatnot. But I think for me, like I have my the Squall, like I think that's the whole fan base. That's what I like to call it. And then you have the Squall that's like strictly like talking to me in Discord and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure I don't mess up the lipstick. But no, that's just been great. Just having a community of people who, you know, support what you're doing. They care about what you're doing. Because I don't want to be one of those people like a flash in the pan where it's like, oh yeah, he blew up doing that one thing, and then he's nobody or whatever. Like, so I try to take everything in stride. Like for example, I'll try different things and see if it works, you know? And I'll know if it works because if the fan base is like, oh, that's hilarious, we love that. And if it's not that big of a reaction, it's no big deal. I just try something else. But regardless, the love has been great. You know, that's what keeps you going as a creator. That really is. So.
All right, so you talk about how you try different stuff. Do you ever have something that you thought was going to be good and you didn't get a reaction that you want? Like, it wasn't like a bad reaction, but you didn't react how you thought?
Yeah, definitely. There's this thing I did during the pandemic. It was my Adult Swim pandemic baby, is what I'm going to call it. And it was called Space Tales of Blast Jr. And it was meant to be this cheesy, like, it was meant to be a show that was made in like 1991 but got canceled because it was so bad. So I filmed it that way. It looks terrible, but it's so over the top and cheesy. And I used a bunch of Snapchat filters and outer space backgrounds. My girlfriend Patagonia loves it. Like, that's hilarious to her. I thought it was hilarious, but like its reaction doesn't hit that well with the algorithm. It's just like people see it, a couple, and it's like whatever.
As a Black nerd, as a Black content creator, are you proud of your contributions to Blerd Culture?
I would say so, and that's not to like put myself on a pedestal, like I've trailblazed or done something, you know, no one else has done, because everyone, obviously other Blurs are doing it too. I feel like I've worked extra hard to be the most authentic version of myself, you know, no matter how quirky, how, you know, off the wall, how just out there might be. Like, I had that level of confidence and courage to say, look, like even the Sora stuff, when I was first doing it, I was like, people are gonna clown me for this, which they did, but it was in a fun way. It was like, this is entertaining, we love it. But I knew even when I put the stuff on, I'm acting like this little, come on, you know, like, like doing the run and stuff. Like, I'm like, I know there's levels of cringe to it, but it's like, if I put myself out there, it's gonna encourage the next creator to say, I can do that too. Like, he has no fear, and he's enjoying it, he's loving it. I can be myself too. But I try to take mine to those extremes. Like, I'm trying to make that threshold of like, look, you can be a Blerd, you can be a Cloudy Blerd, where it's just straight up, just like cringe city, as it were. But you know, I like to think I'm helping in that regard. So yeah.
Okay, so you say you want to inspire other people, but who inspired you?
That's a really good question, actually. Let me stop and patiently think of that, but not eat up too much of your time. Like, I know when I first started doing my Cloudie McDoom stuff, let's go back to 2018, somewhere in there, 17, 18. I started doing Red Dead Redemption 2 skits, right? With this Arthur Morgan, or my version is Artie Mack. If you ever see a cowboy on my page, like the big beard, that's Artie Mack. Yeah. For me, I got inspired because I would see people like Marlon Webb, you know, who I actually got the pleasure of crashing at his house, making videos with him one time. That was great. There was this group of content creators out in LA doing this stuff. And I remember seeing that cross my feed a lot. I'm like, they're doing things. Like, there's just goofy, wacky, like, these scenarios, and I loved it. Like, I was like, this is cool. You know, and I remember internalizing that. So then when I fast forward to doing the Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff, I was like, well, I want to do it too. Like, I want to just make silly, but it's game related. It's like stuff I know. And that was what kind of started to get me out there. Because even Roger Clark, the guy who is Arthur Morgan, like the motion capture, the voice, everything, once he recognized that we became, excuse me, sorry. Once we became friends, that's when I was like, oh wow, like that's, like, because he was in my inspiration, because Red Dead Redemption 2 was just a great game, through and through, just 10 out of 10. So like, I don't know, getting an interaction with him too, coupled with the Marlon Webbs and all those guys, putting all that together motivated me to say, I want to do this like hardcore. I want to, you know, entertain, act, whatever you want to call it. So yeah.
We got time for one more question.
Swift.
What would be your next project?
My next project, I'm glad you asked that. Now I can plug what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm doing a panel. It's the Content Creator Journey. And I'm gonna premiere a video called Final Fantasy Boss Battle Part 3, which I released Part 2 years ago. And I told everyone, hey, I'll do Part 3 when I hit 50,000 subscribers. I did it. It took years, but I did it. And everyone's been waiting for this video. Even now, as we sit here and speak, there are people waiting for it to premiere on YouTube next week. But I want to show it here first because to celebrate me being invited to a guest at one of my favorite cons, I want to just get everyone's reaction to it at my panel, see what they think about it. So that's going to be tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. in room 217, I believe. I'm going to double check, see if the projector's in there. But I think that's going to be my biggest project right now. That's the one I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into. And now we're going to see how people take it tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do you have time to take some pictures?
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you mind taking pictures of the group?
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Lady from Geek by Hearts.
Lady Mandalore, also known as Room Full of Blerds.
Chris Fury.
We'll be watching Mayhem Media.
And you are watching
Blerd Culture.